Ooh, you smell that? It smells sweet, almost sickly. It's like someone ate a whole block of chocolate and then threw it up next to a big fan. Sounds horrible, doesn't it? That, my dear viewer, is the smell of the Burdekin, a farming region situated about an hour south of Townsville with a population of 17,000-ish people. It's a place known for its ridiculous tiny trains, its concerningly large fires, its annoying and aggressive wildlife that choose stupid places to roost, and its distinct lack of interesting features. Somehow, among all that madness, it's also one of the most productive and profitable sugarcane economies in the entire world. But hang on a second, it doesn't rain here most of the time. In fact, the whole region is classified as dry savannah, a place where significant rain only falls for 4 months of the year. How on earth did a region like this end up as one of Australia's food bowls, and more importantly, why is it such an utterly unpalatable place to visit? Well, let's find out. The Burdekin, or Dirty Birdie as I like to call it, lies in what's known as the dry Tropics region of Queensland, an area that receives little rainfall outside of the summer monsoon. This means that for most of the year it bakes under the sun, which leaches most of the moisture from the soil, leaving behind only dead grass and thirsty kangaroos. This would normally be problematic for farmers given that most plants need water to grow, but the Burdekin's got a big brown sludgy secret to its success: the Burdekin River. If peak discharge was an Australian sport, this river would blow its load over all the other river systems in the country. When Mama Monsoon rears her massive moist head in the summer months, the river transforms from a dribbling depression to a raging torrent, one which rivals the Yangtze in China. Thanks to the sheer size of this monster dong of a river, an enormous aquifer also exists under the whole of the Burdekin, which feeds the farms in the region. When this was discovered in the 1800s, settlers described it as liquid gold, and it didn't take long for all sorts of ridiculous irrigation schemes to pop up. These days, the agriculture in the region is fed by an enormous network of weirs, canals and pumps which took more than 150 years to develop. With all this free water flowing around, farmers were given the prerogative to choose the crops that would give them the most bang for their native. And guess what you can grow that needs bucket loads of water and makes shitloads of money? That's right kids, grass. Sugarcane developed as the dominant crop in the region, originally on the back of indentured Pacific Island labourers who got paid a pittance to come to Australia and die of malnutrition. In the mid-20th century, the industry made the move to machines, which don't complain about working conditions or ask for pay rises. Farmers in the region get paid extraordinary amounts of money to literally watch grass grow. The sugarcane industry in Australia is worth $2.5 billion, and this place alone makes up 25% of that figure. It may come as no surprise to you, dear viewer, that it doesn't take much intelligence to grow grass, especially the type of grass that will grow pretty much anywhere. You can't tell sugarcane what to do because it'll tell you to get bent and continue to grow out of spite. A whole lot of money and a gaping lack of education results in a region full of fucking yobbos. There's hardly a sign of life at the local TAFE campus as it sits abandoned and derelict, wires hanging from the ceilings. Education may be locked up here, but who the hell needs it anyway? Ignorance tends to breed idiocy, and there seems to be a contingent of residents here who just throw rubbish out of their car windows willy-nilly because if you've made fuck you money out of pillaging the Earth's resources, then why would you bother putting your rubbish in the bin? Only environmentalists care about the environment, and those guys are a bunch of pussies. While it may look nice and green on the surface, the waterways in the area are filled with this weird, sickly blue water that comes from all the sediment and runoff from the constant irrigation, and most of it ends up here. The once clear water of the Burdekin River is now stained with the effluent of modern farming, turning it into a murky brown mess filled with crocodiles and rubbish. And where does this turgid toilet of a waterway empty into? Why, the Great Barrier Reef, of course. Sorry, Coral, but we've got cake to make. Look, it's not all bad news here. What the Burdekin lacks in moral fortitude, it makes up for in taste, and I'm not just talking about the sugar. Driving into Ayr, you'll be greeted by this giant, grotesque caricature of a mango and his anthropomorphic hide concubine. Concubine. Get it? For some reason, these guys also sell gravestones in case their pedophilic produce precedes your prompt and untimely demise. If you fail to find fascination in these sex-offending fruits, you can head to see some of the other big things the Burdekin has to offer. These attractions include the big mattress pile, the big sand pile, or the big cemetery, which conveniently is right next to the big sand pile. There's also the big question mark, which presumably comes right after the sentence, why the fuck are you bothering to visit this place? Just beyond that, there's this big bloody bridge, the aptly named Benn Bridge, which, you guessed it, spans the Burdekin River. It was built in the 50s in response to the summer monsoon that routinely prevented people from crossing. It's actually one of the longest bridges in Australia, a mere 46 metres shorter than the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And if bridges get you hot and bothered, then this thing will get you fucking steaming. For most people it's just another bridge, but in truth it's also a pretty marvellous feat of engineering. Now we can all look down on that sordid snake of a river and say, fuck you Burdekin, you may as well eat shit and die because you're not going to stop me walking all over you, you dirty little slut. Just up the road is the Burdekin's weird answer to a botanical park. A small strip of land with a few trees and a stream running through it that carries the same odd, sickly blue water that I mentioned earlier. I would strongly advise against swimming in this creek. While it may look tantalising on a hot, sweaty summer's day, it's highly likely you'll come out of it with some sort of exotic and incurable venereal disease. Being a farming town, there's very little to do here other than drink yourself silly, but if that tickles your pickle, then you'll be spoiled for choice. Choose from any one of the 4 pubs in Ayr. You've got the Queen's Hotel on Queen Street, which despite its best efforts to fool you into thinking it's a trendy urban venue, still looks like it's stuck in the 1920s. If that doesn't whet your whistle sufficiently, head up a few shops to the Commercial Tavern. I love the name of that place. It's not trying to hide anything. It's half a step up from calling the pub We Sell Beer. Or if you're in the area, head across the road from the train station to You know what, never mind. I don't want to be held responsible for murder if any of you people decide to go in there. This is Ayer's train station, nothing particularly noteworthy here, but I do find it hilarious that just behind this train station over there is Burdekin Funerals. I'm guessing because as soon as you get here, you're going to want to fucking kill yourself. Another thing this region is renowned for is cheap property. Are you ready to see what $130,000 dues can get you in Ayr? That's right, a tiny derelict house complete with an overgrown yard and missing window panes. What a steal! In fact, there's a plethora of abandoned buildings on the market around here. It seems as though you can't throw a stone 2 feet in front of you without breaking the window of one of these unfortunate relics of time. Here we have an old bakery, which despite its succinct suggestions of surreptitious succulence and a giant sign that welcomed me in, was also abandoned and for sale. It's even worse in the highway hamlet of Home Hill, 10 minutes south of Ayr. Driving through, you'd be forgiven for thinking it's a bustling little community with a main street lined with shops. Look a little closer and you'll see that almost all of them sit empty. Pet shop? Closed. Supermarket? Closed. Gudgy's got your goods? Completely forgotten. Even bloody Gudgy got gimped and gave up. Unfortunately, the sad truth about derelict towns is that they often bring out the worst in humanity, and Home Hill has its very own horrible history. It was at this former backpackers in 2016 where 2 people were killed and multiple others injured in a stabbing attack. It was perpetrated by another backpacker at the hostel and led travellers to refer to the town as Hell Hill. Most of the locals in the region were obviously mortified in response to the incident, yet only 2 years later, posters mysteriously appeared in Ayr stating in no uncertain terms that the area is a backpacker-free zone and that they're not welcome here. Apparently not everyone shared the same horror that was felt that day. It's easy to define rural towns by vitriol and virtue, but like all places, the vast majority of people here aren't bad people. They're actually pretty good people, and often it's the good eggs that get cracked when idiots like me make videos like this. Sure, a lot of folk here may have some particularly peculiar proclivities, but if you can go about your business without bothering anybody else, they'll give the same courtesy to you. Just don't look anyone directly in the eye as you pass through, otherwise you might find a big brawl will ensue. I may not like it here, but the locals seem to love it, and to that I say, bully to them. Let them have it. If you don't get aroused by abandoned buildings, if the sweet smell of sugar doesn't tantalise your taste buds, if you can't stand the sight of silly little locomotives, then I have one suggestion for you, my friend. Don't go to the Burdekin. And now, a limerick. There once was a man named Nabez, who made cash from cane with ease. He went into Ayr with money to spare and left with a venereal disease.